Running in Zone 2, the Karvonen Formula, and the Maffetone method are powerful tools for improving endurance, fitness, and overall health. Here are a few key lessons I have learned from each of these approaches over the last 12 months. Hey, if we haven't met before, my name is David and I'm the plant-powered runner. I've been using a lot of these methods over the last number of years and I have seen a lot of great improvements. I've seen a lot of heartache and I've seen a lot of stagnation. And I want to talk to you about what all these methods are like from a real point of view, from me to you, using these versions of heart rate training. I've run marathons, I've run half marathons, 10Ks, even an ultra marathon. And over the years, I have accumulated a lot of information from my experiences using these types of methods, and I want to share them with you. Because if you're thinking about going into the new year with a whole new perspective of, what you want to, do with when it comes to running, like weight you may want to lose, or you may want to just kind of run for your mental health or just things like that. Look, there's a lot of things that we as runners think about when we think about running. So let's dive into some of these things today. The first one is Zone 2, or running in Zone 2. The first lesson I have learned from this is building my aerobic efficiency. Zone 2 is the heart rate range where your body predominantly uses fat for fuel, improving endurance and energy efficiency. Training in the zone helps your body develop a stronger aerobic base. Now, lesson number 2 is avoiding overtraining. Running in a slower Zone 2 allows you to kind of stay out of the injury box, because typically when we run fast, what tends to happen is we end up overtraining. And when we overtrain, we put ourselves on the sidelines where we can't run for a period of time. And then that cycle just continues to go over and over and over again, where you have periods of cycles where you're good and you're not injured, but then there are times where you are injured. And I find that this just kind of keeps a lot of that at bay, along with the burnout, because when I was running very, very intensely for a marathon, I found that I just burnt out. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I don't know how a lot of these, athletes, like Olympic athletes and even like professional runners do it. I just know how I felt, and it was kind of hard. So that was a good lesson to learn. Lesson 3 is patience pays off. Look, improvements in Zone 2 take time, and regular consistent training at these easier paces will help you yield long-term benefits in speed and endurance without spiking the heart rate. And ideally, keeping that heart rate at that zone that you can kind of cruise on like forever and a day, it's fantastic. It's kind of like autopilot. Now, you do need to do other stimuluses when it comes to improving. But that was the lesson that I learned is patience. Patience really does pay off. Lesson number 4, the Karvonen Formula. I like this method a lot, and I like it for a couple of reasons. But we're going to go into the lessons first, because this is the meat of it. Lesson number 4 is individualized training zones. The Karvonen Formula consists of both a resting heart rate and a maximum heart rate, providing more personalization of heart rate zones for training. And this ensures that your effort levels will be tailored for your fitness. And that is a key point. It's personalized for your fitness. Lesson number 5 is monitoring your progress. As your resulting heart rate decreases with improved fitness, your target rates will also adjust, and this allows you to measure your aerobic improvement over time. And lesson number 6 is balance training intensities. Now, using the Karvonen Formula, or I should say the Karvonen zones, to balance low intensity, Zone 2, and high intensity efforts, ensuring a well-rounded approach to training. I like this approach a lot. It's personalized. And as you get better and you improve as a runner, you'll be able to see that with regards to your heart rate zones, because it's a moving target. It shifts as you improve. And when you decrease, like when you kind of go through a detraining period, it will also adjust. Plus, it also allows me to get out onto the trail because it does allow me to have a little bit of a higher heart rate compared to some other methods that I'll talk about in a minute. So it's a nice approach. It kind of takes you from just using zone 2. Now, here's the thing. Zone 2 and Karvonen are kind of tied in a way, but if you use zone 2 is kind of like, it is an age-based formula, like 220 minus your age, or when you think about it, it's like the Maffetone method where it's like 180 minus your age, which we'll get into a little bit more. But if you're an athlete or if you've been running for a period of time, you know that the 220 minus your age is like really just for beginners, just to kind of get you started. You don't want to continue to use that long term. So you kind of want to graduate to a different level. And that's why I like the Karvonen formula. The MAF method or MAF training or the Maffetone method. What this method is essentially, it takes 180 minus your age plus or minus a couple of beats, primarily 5 beats, up or down, depending on if you are injured or if you're coming back from an injury. Again, it's on the screen here all for you. However, the one thing that I would say is this method is really great for kind of coming back from an injury. But if you are a certain age, like once you start hitting, mid 50s, late 50s, even going into the 60s, it can get a little tricky using this method, and you probably are going to be ending up walking a lot more than what you would kind of normally think. And that was something that I had to learn the very first time. The lesson number 7 is it's allow you to train below your aerobic threshold. So the MAF method emphasizes staying at or below your aerobic threshold, 180 minus your age, and it really utilizes fat metabolism and avoiding the over-reliance on carbohydrates when you start running at a faster click, at a faster pace. And lesson number 8 in this is test and measure progress. So I like doing regular MAF tests, okay? And that's like running at a fixed heart rate for a measured pace and providing an objective way to track improvements, faster paces at the same low heart rate to indicate better aerobic fitness. And this is something that I've used over the years to track to see where I am. And I'm going to tell you, this year, I'm not on track. This year has not been a really good year. It's been a real shit show, to be quite honest. And there's a lot of factors regarding that. And I'll talk to you about that at the end of the video. So stay tuned. Now, guys, if you're liking these videos, if you like what you're seeing, please maybe comment below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. It really does mean a lot, and it shows that the YouTube algorithm can just kind of push it out to further, to find me another audience or to keep pushing it out to other people. Lesson number 9 is prioritizing health over speed. The MAF method integrates health-focused principles like proper nutrition, stress management, recovery, reinforcing the idea that long-term health is more important than short-term progress or gains. And I've mentioned that in a number of my videos over the years, specifically this year, because I've been under a lot of stress. And because I've been under a lot of stress, my heart rate has been much higher. And with that, my consistency has also kind of fallen. And when my consistency falls, what tends to happen is my sleep patterns really start to change. And when that happens, my eating really falls apart. So it's a pillar system, I find. And over this year, it's been kind of a real mess, to be quite honest. And it is what it is. Now, the one thing that I would say with all of these lessons, right, there's a commonality across all of these methods. And the number one is consistency. Aerobic improvements require regular sustained effort over months and years. The longer you've built an aerobic base, the longer it'll take for it to disappear. If you've only been working at it for a year, maybe even 2, or maybe even 4, it may not be strong enough to withstand a lot of the detraining that tends to happen when we stop running. Number 2 is listening to your body. Paying attention to your heart rate, perceived effort, and recovery helps optimize training and avoid the injury that tends to come along with this high impact sport that we call running. Number 3 is train smarter, not harder. Slow, deliberate training yields better long-term results than constant high-intensity efforts. Now, I don't mean to diminish these high-intensity training sessions because we need them to get faster. However, you don't want to be doing it every single day, or you will probably hit burnout and you probably will get injured. Patience and discipline. Slowing down to run in lower heart rate zones or staying within a target heart rate range requires mental discipline, but it pays dividends in endurance, speed, and injury prevention. Over the years, I find this to be extremely true. And it's something that I've had to learn. It's not always easy to run slow, even though running slow is easy. And now we get to the meat of what's happened. This year has been extremely difficult. A lot of health issues that my wife has been dealing with are still being dealt with. We don't really have a real full grasp as to everything other than she is in constant pain. Sleeping is very difficult for her. Her resting heart rate is extremely high, and being able to walk is very difficult. There's a lot of other things kind of going on as well, but that's just a little bit. And then the other side of the coin on this is her mother has had some health issues as well, and she is currently in hospital and has been for quite some time. And the stress level, I would say, has been peaking pretty high, pretty high. So with all of these things that have been going on, and my daughter, she's dealing with a breakup as well. So there's a lot of things going on in our lives. Again, just with me being self-employed, that also brings its own challenges as well. So I turn to YouTube and I just get honest. I just share what's going on. Running and life are tied with a big fat bow. They both intersect with each other. I've had a couple of comments over the last couple of days saying, "Hey, Dave, I haven't seen you on Strava lately. What's going on? I hope everything is okay." Well, this is kind of what's been going on. Stress level, consistency, my pillars, a lot of these things have just kind of fallen. And I feel like an empire has just been destroyed, to be quite honest. And I'm roughing it right now. Doing what I can just to exist. And that is very difficult, specifically when it comes to running, because running is kind of like a savior for me, because my mental health improves when I run. When I'm not running, it's a rough go. And right now I'm going through one of those rough goes because of everything I'm dealing with. So if I could only figure out a way to get out and run, that would be a good thing. But right now we're going through a real cold snap. It's like minus 20 Celsius out there. And the chances of me running right now are very slim because I had to go to the hospital. I have to do my duty and I have to help. So with that being said, what I would like to wish you is a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and let's start off 2025 moving in the right direction, because I certainly need it after this year. That's all I got to say about that. I wish you, and again, if you don't celebrate Christmas, I wish you Happy Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate Hanukkah, I wish you happy holidays. Whatever religion you follow, I wish you all the best. Be kind, be considerate, and treat people with honesty, integrity, and kindness, because how would you like to be treated at the end of the day? These are times that I always think about people a lot more, because as we move into the holiday season, there's a lot of people who don't have the family that you may have or I have. And it's hard for a lot of people. And it's one of those things I think about a lot, specifically if you're alone. It's very difficult. So from my family to your family, I wish you, I'm talking to you now, I wish you all the best. I'm going to keep showing up if you keep showing up. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do for my mental health and everything else that goes along with it. Just never give up. We just got to keep on moving forward. Thank you, everybody. I love you all. And until the next one, get out and run. See you on the next one.